Let's get into maybe some of the surprises of the draft. Who are some of the hidden gems that you've got your eye on right now?
Yeah, I've got a couple of guys that I think that really stand out to me. There's three that I love to talk about the most. One, Jalen Royals from Utah State should be getting talked about more. I haven't seen his name brought up at all. He is going to be a day two prospect, tested well at the NFL Combine. He's a very smooth route runner. He's got great feet. He's able to create separation for himself by having these really quick cuts, and he's got great concentration in hands. I think that he is your prototypical consistent, reliable slot for a team, and whoever drafts him is going to get a just dominant potential go-to option coming out over the middle of the field. Second, I really like Charles Grant from William and Mary, who was originally a 270-pound offensive tackle at William and Mary. He bulked up. He's over 300 pounds now. He has this rare movement ability for an offensive lineman, and he has the length that he could play outside at tackle or he could play inside at guard. He is the prototype, but just needs to work on his technique and needs to add a little bit more play strength. And then the last guy that is a much deeper pull, late on day 3, I think that Kyle Monungai from Rutgers has the potential to become this year's Kyron Williams or Bucky Irving, a player who didn't test well at the combine, that doesn't have that top end speed, but just does everything right. And I think whoever drafts Kyle Monungai is going to get a player who early on will work his butt off in pass protection, will block for other running backs as a lead blocker or quarterbacks, and is going to scrap out in short yardage situations, which will eventually earn the trust of a coaching staff and give him more chances to get more carries. And then just like Bucky Irving and Kyron Williams, the more carries they got, the more that they turn them into big plays.
Okay, how about the other end of that? Some of the biggest possible busts you could see.
I think that there are this draft class specifically. I think that there's not as many bust-worthy prospects because there's a lot
It's an
more
interesting
well-roundedness.
one.
Right, there's a lot more guys that kind of fit into that bucket of second round prospects, and I think
Yeah.
that because we have less blue chip players, a lot of players that go in the early top 15. I think that a lot of NFL fans are going to have way too high expectations for specific guys. There's three players that kind of fit that for me. Tedero McMillan from Arizona, I don't think ends up becoming a bust, but I think that there's this expectation that he is going to be Drake London or better because he's this big catch point guy who's super physical. But if he lands as the number one receiver for a team that doesn't have a good receiving room, I think fans are going to be very sorely disappointed. He needs to go to a spot where there's already a star and he can play off of it. Just like T. Higgins, and that's my comparison for him, just like T. Higgins has all these one-on-one matchups and he's a big, strong guy and he can dominate in those one-on-one matchups while opposing defenses have to worry about Jamar Chase. The second, Jalen Walker, to me, I think is going to be a player that has a large variance of outcomes. He is a very explosive linebacker that was essentially used as a blitzing weapon for Georgia this year, and he was super productive. He needs to learn how to use his hands better. He needs to learn how to actually become a nuanced pass rusher in order to have that production in the NFL. And I have a fear, just like Hassan Reddick, who I compare him to, who came out of Temple, that a defensive coordinator is going to be stubborn and is going to overthink him and ask him to play off-ball linebacker, which he's not. He needs to play at the line of scrimmage. He just needs to learn how to use his hands better because he has the quick feet to become a 10-plus sack guy in the NFL. So there's a chance that he doesn't pan out. And then the last one, I think that Shamar Stewart is extremely gifted, the Texas A&M defensive end. He has unreal athletic traits, but it is a little bit concerning the lack of college production that he has. 1.5 sacks this past year at Texas A&M. I know that the scheme he was playing in didn't exactly set him up for tremendous success as a pass rusher, but because of that lack of production, a lot of times these guys that are all tools but not finishers, it doesn't always translate. He could go on to be super successful, but I think we need to prepare ourselves that there's a world where he doesn't take over the NFL just because he's an athletic freak.
So, of the very top potential picks that everyone's talking about, top 5, top 10, which pick are you most confident in that this is a home run, super safe? Which worries you the most?
I think the guy that I'm the most confident in that's going to be successful in the NFL that's projected as a top 10 pick, it's Abdul Carter.
Okay.
Abdul Carter has some unreal athletic traits. He's got a very quick first step. He's super powerful. But the craziest part about him is he's made this transition from off ball linebacker to defensive end. He was one of the most productive defensive linemen in the country this year. He learned how to play the position on a week by week basis. The jumps that he made from week one to their last game against Notre Dame is that most guys don't do in an entire offseason. He went from trying to win with his athleticism to actually developing a pass rush move set and using those moves to torment opposing offensive lines. So I think that Abdul Carter, by year two, is going to go on to become one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. And I'll add into that, I think that Mason Graham from Michigan just has this natural leverage and flexibility that makes him so difficult for interior offensive linemen to get underneath him. If he falls out of the top 10 picks, I think that there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be kicking themselves that they did not take advantage of selecting him. And I think that one guy that I have a lot of concerns about and a lot of questions is Tetairoa McMillan. I still am
Okay.
not certain of why a lot of people are projecting Tetairoa McMillan as a possible top 10 pick. I don't think the NFL truly sees him that way as a top 10 player, but his inability to create separation on film is something that should be a concern for the NFL. His contested catch rate that he has had in college is similar to guys that we have talked about and hyped up as these jump ball dominators, but didn't work in the NFL. Like N'Keal Harry is a really good example. Quentin Johnston's another really good example. If you're not creating separation outside of winning in the air, oftentimes that tends to catch up to you in the NFL when you're facing off with long cornerbacks that are also athletic. So one guy definitely is Tetairoa McMillan.
Okay. And one player that isn't getting first round love right now, but you think will sneak in or that you think should be sneaking in?
Yeah, I think that's Jalen Knoll from Iowa State,
Okay.
the slot receiver. He reminds me of Steve Smith, the former Panthers and Ravens receiver who was super dominant for a very long time. The NFL really likes him. He does everything right. Great route runner, super, super physical at the catch point. He's not afraid of any contact, even if it's a linebacker or defensive lineman. Doesn't care who it is. He is going to try and run through people in order to come down with the football and able to be able to produce yards after the catch. So I think that Noel could sneak into the end of the first round and could go on to becoming maybe even the best receiver in this class.
Thanks for watching this episode on the BetCanada channel. Hit that subscribe button because I've got more draft content coming with Joe you're going to want to see.